The sun lay low behind steel clouds, casting a ghost-gray light over the Western Training Center's concrete bones. Wind pushed in sharp gusts, metallic, restless, whispering like it remembered something. A woman stood at the entrance, silver windbreaker catching the breeze, hood down. She was small, still, unassuming. A young recruit muttered just loud enough, "You're in the wrong place, lady. This is a training range, not a tourist stop." The group behind him snickered. She didn't flinch. She walked forward without a word. Calm steps, worn jeans, leather bag slung low on her shoulder, aged, scuffed, carrying stories that didn't want retelling. She stopped at the biometric target selection unit. No hesitation. Hand to screen. System hum active. Lights red. Text, call sign, widow mark, reactivated. Silence collapsed over the range like a dropped curtain. Her name, buried deep in older systems, emerged. Maren Weiss. Age 35. Nationality unknown. Status civilian. Biometric match classified deep ops. She had registered hours earlier at the civilian. Intake with a smile and a lie. Just here for recreational shooting. Corporal Jenkins at the desk hadn't thought much of it. "You ever fired before?" She'd smiled gently. "Not as much as you'd think." Behind her, Private Rodriguez, all youth and cocky confidence, laughed loud enough for his friends to join in. "If she hits anything, I'll do kitchen duty for a year." No response from Maren. She just stood, quiet as fog, holding leather gloves worn smooth by time. She wasn't hiding. She was waiting. The line moved slowly. The comments didn't. "Look at her," someone muttered. "Can she even hold a rifle steady? Maybe she's just here for Instagram." Civilians loved the gear shots. She's probably never even touched a magazine. They were kids, still wearing pride like new boots. She said nothing. She didn't blink when they laughed. She didn't even sigh. Her eyes, still as glass, scanned everything. Range layout, exit points, ammo stations, guard rotations, equipment calibration screens, like breathing. Training supervisor, Carson, old military, eyes like worn steel, called her name. He scrolled her digital paperwork. "Long-range shooting, you sure?" "That's not beginner stuff." "I'll be fine," she said. Soft, not apologetic. He raised a brow. "Your money. But don't point that thing at anyone. And don't say I didn't warn you when you missed the broadside of a barn." Chuckles followed her down the line. She stepped to the weapons bay. Didn't pick anything. Just walked, right to the control terminal. Right to the core. No pause. Hand to glass. Biometric scan complete. Systemhalt. Accessing military protocols. Red light status engaged. The hum in the building shifted. The entire interface went into override. The display flashed. Biosignature, widow mark, confirmed. Status, reactivated. Authorization, level 9 clearance. A technician at the back stumbled. "That's not possible." Another whispered, "Widow mark?" "That's a myth. A ghost story." Someone ran from the back office, Lieutenant Colonel Hayes. He stopped short when he saw her. His face drained. "You," his voice cracked. "You're the sole survivor from Red Zone Sector 4. The air got thicker. No more laughter, just a slow silence building around her. Whispers passed through the range like shrapnel. "She's the one who vanished." The woman from the Wolf Echo files. No one ever confirmed her death. Supervisor Carson leaned in toward his console. His hands trembled. This system's military grade. We didn't even know it could still run those protocols." She looked at the screen like it was an old wound. Sometimes systems remember what people try to forget. Martinez, an old combat instructor, approached. He had seen real things that shredded most men, but his voice still carried awe. "Widowmaker designation," he whispered. "That was reserved for Ghost. Operators, solo, off-grid, unconfirmed existence." The system kept updating. Last active 2012. Mission status classified. Survival rate 100%, team confirmed. Threat profile maximum. Rodriguez stepped forward, sheepish now. "Ma'am, we didn't know." "You weren't supposed to." Her voice held no anger. Just fact. That was the point. The crowd had changed. Now they stood still, military, police, trainees, watching like something sacred had stirred. She moved without speaking. Picked up a standard rifle. Didn't check the scope. Didn't balance it. Didn't test a single setting. She just said almost to herself, "I want to see if I still maintain 800-meter accuracy." People froze. 800 meters? That was elite sniper territory. She said herself, Calm breath. Silent count. 6 shots. 10 minutes. Each one punched center target with inhuman precision. No pause between shots. No visible adjustment. Just execution. The system auto-updated. Shooting pattern confirmed widow mark. Trajectory signature. Historical match 99.997%. The Olympic-level shooting instructor on duty stepped forward, stunned. He had trained medalists. He bowed his head. I studied technique nurse 7 once. Ghost pattern. Thought it was theory, but it was you. Maren didn't gloat. She didn't smile. She looked toward the field. I don't keep achievements. I just keep the habit of not letting teammates die. Records were being accessed faster than firewalls could catch up. Classified mission data leaked onto secure tablets. Code, Wolf Echo. Final record, all members presumed KIA. Commander status, MIA, likely deceased. Today the system disagreed, because today she touched it again. Sergeant Martinez's voice grew smaller as he read, Wolf Echo, 0 friendly casualties, 14 confirmed missions, 90% casualty zones, but you never lost anyone. How is that possible? Carson asked, voice cracking. Maren laid down the rifle with reverence. You learn to see death coming before it sees you. A pause, the wind outside howled. And sometimes, the only way to save the team is to walk into the dark alone. Rodriguez stepped forward again, his pride melted into humility. Ma'am, what happened to Wolf Echo? Her gaze faded, like looking back through smoke. We were sent to extract a diplomat's daughter. The intel was bad. It was a trap. She drew in a slow breath. I ordered my team to fall back. I told them I'd distract the enemy. Told them I'd meet them at the rendezvous in 6 hours. She didn't blink. I led the enemy away. Made them believe the whole team was with me. 3 days later, she clawed her way out of the kill zone. Her team had made it out, declared dead, and she forgotten. The range stood still. No more weapons fired. No more drills barked. No more laughter echoed. They were all just watching, listening, to something they weren't trained to hear. Regret wrapped in composure. Maren's voice was soft, but it pierced. I made it back, but not to them. Not in time. They'd already been extracted, scrubbed, and classified. And me, declared MIA quietly, permanently. She touched the edge of her glove. The leather had lines deepened by sun, sweat, and time. The mission didn't end when I left the zone. It ended when the world forgot I ever existed. Carson stared at the screen as if it might vanish. Ma'am, the record says, you completed every operation with no civilian casualties. Not one. Maren nodded. We weren't just warfighters. We were extraction artists. That was the point of Wolf Echo. Go where others couldn't. Bring back what no one else could reach. Hayes stepped forward. Quiet now, Reverend. What kept you going? Maren reached into her leather bag. From a zippered side pocket, she pulled a single bullet, sealed in a small clear case. On its casing, save one person. That's enough. She held it gently. This was given to me after Mission 13. We pulled out a convoy of 9 civilians from a fire zone in Sector K-19. My team melted down their custom rounds and cast this one from the brass. Said I deserved a medal. She smiled faintly. I kept this instead, as a reminder of why I do what I do. The system beeped again. Louder now. It wasn't done. The terminal's secure screen lit up with a series of deep access protocol trees, never seen before at the facility. Status dormant. Last update 12 years ago. Condition stable. Operator confirmed. Reactivation possible. Authorization Maren Weiss. Carson leaned in. This terminal isn't supposed to even have military architecture. Hayes' face hardened. It doesn't. That's not supposed to be possible. The red lights deepened in hue. Suddenly across the room, one of the AI-assisted tracking cameras pivoted toward Maren, then another, then all of them. She didn't flinch. An old embedded voice system, archived and unused, crackled to life. Operator Widow Mark. Protocol dormant. Reconnection established. Welcome back. Everyone stared. The system was recognizing her. Not just as a user, but as a keystone. Martinez's tablet flashed with old coordinates. Buried scenarios. Ghost data surfacing from deep caches. Advanced tactical patterns. Accessible. Covert recon modules unlocked. Solo recovery simulation package armed. He looked at Maren. You're not just in the system. You were part of it. Maren didn't reply. She didn't need to. She was the system's last living link to missions it had long buried. Rodriguez was the first to speak again, the others still stunned. Ma'am, why come back now? Maren exhaled slowly. I didn't. She glanced at the screen, then her palm. The system called me. I just answered. Martinez lowered his voice. Something reactivated your file. Something woke this up. Carson was still watching the monitors. What if it's not over? A silence fell. Maren looked up. Her voice softer now, haunted. It's never over. It just changes shape. A quiet alarm trilled just once. Not urgent. Not public. Just a whisper in code. Hayes leaned in and read the text flashing across his personal terminal. Operator active. Training modes available. Level non-simulated. Clearance above field commander. Risk category, black 0. He turned to Maren. That's not training. That's pre-op conditioning, designed only for Widowmaker tier. Maren's eyes remained steady. She'd seen this screen before. She walked up to it. Touched her name. The system responded. Training level, Widow Mark, tactical override. Engage? Rodriguez spoke, breaking the stillness. What does that mean? Martinez answered. It means we're in the presence of someone trained to survive. Missions that were never supposed to succeed. Missions built on the assumption that everyone dies. Except she didn't. Hayes stepped forward. The Pentagon could reinstate your record. We can reissue your status, clear the files, get your name back. Maren shook her head slowly. I'm not here to be reinstated. Then why now? Hayes asked. She reached into her bag again. Pulled a folded document. Laid it on the counter. Carson opened it. It was a training waiver. But not for her. It was a petition to teach. Not as a soldier. Not as a legend. But as a silent guide. Let me train them, she said. The ones who think bravery is loud. The ones who think war is clean. The ones who might survive. If they learn what no manual teaches. For a long moment, no one spoke. The silence wasn't awkward. It was reverent. Like something ancient had passed through. The young soldiers who had mocked her? Now they stood straighter. No more jokes. No more arrogance. Just wide eyes and a deepening understanding that heroes don't always look like what they thought. Later that evening, long after Maren had left, Carson found something on his desk. A handwritten note. Simple, precise, quiet. If you meet someone who speaks little, don't laugh. They might have already said everything they had to. In places no one came back from. The quietest person in the room might be the one who screamed the loudest when it mattered most. 1 week later, without announcement, without ribbon cutting or fanfare, Shooting Bay No. 9 was marked with a plaque. Widow Mark, the one who needs no orders. The one who lets no one die if she still draws breath. No name, no date, just truth. Rodriguez transferred to search and rescue. He didn't say why. He just said he wanted to make sure someone else got to come home. Carson kept Maren's note in his desk. He read it every time a new recruit laughed too loud at the wrong person. Martinez added one line to the training manual before he retired. Sometimes the most dangerous person in the room isn't the loudest. It's the one who has seen the dark and chosen to return, quietly. Maren never returned to the facility. But late at night, Martinez swore he could hear someone walking the outer perimeter, boots that moved too quietly for a guard, footsteps that stopped only when the wind did. He hoped she had found peace. But he knew. Ghosts don't rest. They guard. From the shadows, so others can sleep. Internal Military Archives, Forward Base Echo. 6 hours after the incident at the Western Training Center, a secured server in Forward Base Echo lit up with a red warning. Not a breach. Not malware. A match. Buried beneath 14 years of decommissioned logs, a silent flag rose. Operator status, Widow Mark, reactivated. Cross-reference initiated. Access level 0C. Inside a dark, climate-controlled room beneath the desert, a single light blinked above a black ops console. A human hadn't touched that panel in over a decade. Now it was humming. Alive. General Hollis, the man who buried the Widowmaker project, received the encrypted notification. He hadn't worn his full uniform in years. Only put the stars on when Washington got nervous. Today he wore them. He stared at the holo screen and muttered, "Impossible." Behind him, his aide whispered, "Should I alert Fort Lancer?" Hollis didn't answer immediately. He tapped a control. A digital profile unfurled. Name, Weiss Maren. Status, presumed KIA. Unit Wolf Echo Deepups. Mission record, red zone clearances X14. Fatality, not confirmed. Clearance, Widowmaker. The ghost returned. Elsewhere, in a black glass building camouflaged among suburban offices, a non-existent agency reviewed footage from the range. The director watched her fire. 800 meters. No flinch, no hesitation. No doubt. He turned to the analyst. Why now? The analyst spoke slowly. Her file came alive because her hand re-entered the biometric net. That range shouldn't have had access, but she triggered the original system. Widow Mark was written into it, DNA deep, and she didn't request reactivation. No, sir. The system asked her. A pause. Then the director said, mark her as active unknown, and issue silent ops code. Do not engage. Without loss threshold level 4. Marine Recon Unit, Fort Lancer. Private Rodriguez sat quietly at a new base, a stack of training gear next to him. No more jokes. No more bragging. He had transferred out of a cushy range unit into search and rescue. Voluntarily. Today was his first day, and he couldn't stop replaying what he saw. The instructor barked, Name? Rodriguez Jonah. Why are you here, Rodriguez? He thought for a moment. Then, because sometimes saving someone is more important than shooting. The instructor raised a brow. Where'd you learn that? Rodriguez only said, a civilian. Who wasn't? Back at the Western Training Center, whispers had hardened into folklore. Bay Nur 9 was now always clean. No one left casings on the floor. No one disrespected the target boards. No one dared speak too loud near it. Carson had posted the plaque himself, and every day new recruits asked him, is the story true? Was she real? Did she really walk out of the red zone alone? Carson would just nod, then point to the wall behind his desk. Pinned there, a photocopy of the biometric trigger log. Name, Maren Weiss. Status, reactivated. Clearance, Echo 9. Protocols unsealed. Don't wait for proof, he'd say. Just act like she's watching. Hidden facility, coordinates restricted. A black room. One table. A chair. Maren Weiss sits. She didn't walk back into the military. They brought her in. Quietly. No shackles. Just curiosity. A man sat across from her. Dr. Kane, psychologist turned intelligence profiler. He clicked a pen once. You do know you're supposed to be dead, Maren replied softly. Most days I still am. Kane leaned forward. Why didn't you let them reactivate you earlier? Maren looked at the corner of the room. Her voice wasn't broken, it was controlled. Because the part of me that lived through it wasn't the part that came back. Kane pressed a button. Holographic projections of mission files flickered into life. Urban ruins, firestorms, extraction routes drawn in red. One by one, he listed them. Op Citadel. Op Shatterglass. Op Null Pulse. You led all of these. 0 casualties. He pointed at the last one. Op Midnight Basin, the one that broke Wolf Echo. You made the call to draw the fire yourself. Maren nodded. And the team? They made it out. That was the mission. Kane studied her face. Were you trying to die? She looked him in the eye. No, I was trying to make sure someone else didn't. Before they released her, Maren requested one thing. Her bullet. The one engraved with, save one person. That's enough. She held it again after so many years. It had been recovered by range security and stored as an artifact. Now it was back where it belonged. In her hand. Unfired, unlost. Far across the ocean in a crumbling embassy bunker, an encrypted communication pinged a private server. Inside it, a name. Widow Mark, active. Status, verified. Trace match, 99.6%. Potential threat level, strategic. A man in a gray uniform read it. He slowly stood. Notify Black Group, we may have to engage her again. His aide hesitated. Last time we tried that, we lost 3 squads. The man didn't blink. Then next time, we don't send squads. He tapped the name one last time. Widow Mark. She never misses. But she never forgets either. Desert outskirts near the training center. Maren ran. Not away. Not from fear. But to test herself. The wind was sharp. The moon was silent. The terrain unforgiving. She didn't pant. She didn't slow. 12 miles in full gear. No trackers. No heart rate monitor. No team. Just her. Alone, like always. At the halfway mark, she stopped. looked out across the black land. She whispered softly. They think I'm reactivated, but I never deactivated. Then she turned and ran back like she had always done, toward whatever needed saving next. Munich, Germany. Underground cafe, 02.13 hours. In the back of a silent cafe closed for the night. A man lit a cigarette with trembling hands. His name was Eric Drexler, ex-intelligence analyst, off-grid for 8 years. The door opened. Maren stepped in. He froze. I thought you were a myth, he whispered. She sat across from him. No, she said quietly. You just survived long enough to need me again. Drexler slid a flash drive across the table. Someone's activating sleeper assets in Europe. Same footprints as the Ardent protocols. And your name, your call sign, triggered a back-channel alert. She didn't flinch. Then let's find out who's shaking the graves. Black Site, Nevada, USA. General Hollis stood before a classified task group. 12 chairs, 9 filled. Faces without names. On the screen, a still of Maren walking across the training range. Widow Mark is reactivated, unofficially, unaligned. A senior intelligence agent folded his arms. Are we containing her? Hollis answered flatly. She is not the problem. But if she's moving, then the people who buried her missions may be. That makes them the problem. An operative spoke. We gave her a grave. Another added. She dug her way out. Abandoned relay station, Moldova. Maren and Drexler moved quietly through the frozen ruin of a decommissioned NATO relay. Inside, old wires, scorched maps, and a still warm terminal. Drexler plugged in the drive. What came alive wasn't files. It was an invitation. Welcome back, Widow Mark. Protocol Gorgon Gate. Activation key accepted. What the hell is Gorgon Gate? Drexler asked. Maren stared at the screen. It's one of ours, she whispered. One we never used. Mission status, clandestine threat reemergence. Initiate tracking cell. Authority, operator Widow Mark. Drexler looked at her. You weren't reactivated by mistake, were you? She didn't answer. Baku, Azerbaijan, night market. A boy no older than 10 clutched a tattered phone. Someone had paid him to deliver it. Now he sat alone on a rooftop watching the signal blink. The device connected. Coordinates streamed. The signal bounced 3 times. A hidden receiver in Alaska lit up for the first time in 17 years. Inside that bunker, a name printed across the internal sensor grid. Widow Mark. Request Tier 0 assistance. The old man guarding it, Operator Soren, long retired, stood slowly. He picked up a black key. I swore I'd never move again unless she called. He turned the key. The lights came on. Across 7 countries, old protocols whispered to life. Faint pings inside obsolete systems. Paper files resurfacing in embassies that no longer bore flags. A scattered trail leading to one undeniable truth. Widow Mark was building something. Or someone else was using her name. Either way, the ghosts were rising. And this time, someone wanted the world to notice. Safe House Istanbul. Maren stood in front of a bulletin board covered in thread, maps, and burned data. Drexler paced. They're rerouting old op structures. Using identities we retired. Wolf Echo isn't being referenced. They're being impersonated. Maren's hand clenched slowly. The only people who knew those codes were buried. Her voice dropped lower. Or someone made it look like they were. Suddenly a beeping. Not from her gear, from a child's toy in the corner. A transmitter. They were made. The building exploded 5 seconds after they left. Drexler coughed through the smoke. You knew it was rigged? Maren checked her gear. It always is. They didn't stop running until they reached the Bosphorus docks. There, hidden in an old merchant vessel, was something she hadn't touched in over a decade. A sealed black case. She opened it. Inside, Widow Mark gear. Personalized loadout. Unregistered optics. Tactical node with original decryption keys. She whispered, almost to herself. Then let's go quiet. U.S. Command Line 7. A secure channel blinked. Hollis read the one-line message. Someone's using dead operators. I'm going to find out who. Don't follow, BUM. He stared at the words for a long time. Then he picked up a red phone. Get me Fort Noxus. I want eyes. Only on anything that moves between Europe and the Southern Corridor. In a covert cyber cell in Poland, Maren accessed the Wolf Echo route logs. Files she'd buried. Coordinates she'd erased. There was one she didn't recognize. A ghost entry. It simply read, Op 15 Echo 0. Status never logged. Survivor unknown. Linked DNA, positive widow mark. Drexler frowned. You said you led 14 missions. I did. He pointed at the screen. Then what's this? Her hands hovered over the keyboard. That mission didn't exist, and that terrified her more than anything else. Somewhere in the Carpathian Mountains, they set up base. Minimal gear. Satellite scramblers. Thermal blockers. Every night, Maren walked perimeter. Every morning, she trained. Shooting, mapping, thinking. Drexler noticed something. She never aimed to kill in simulation. She only aimed to disable, or divert, or rescue. She was a ghost of war, but her methods were surgical. And beneath the silence, he saw it. She wasn't afraid of dying. She was afraid of becoming what they used to send her to kill. A signal came through on a frequency not used since Oplo 7. It was just 5 words. They're coming for the echoes. Maren dropped everything. She locked eyes with Drexler. Pack everything now. What does it mean? It means they're not just copying us. They're erasing us. Unknown, aboard black transport convoy. Deep within a reinforced convoy, a masked operative reviewed Maren's face on a cracked tablet. Objective, widow mark. Neutralize or acquire. Order code, Vermilion Burial. Clearance, Rogue Shadow. The masked man turned to his team. No talking. No gear tracking. When she disappears again, it'll be because we finished the story for her. Maren stared at the final line in the ghost file. One line of corrupted metadata appeared as she decrypted deeper. One survived. But not alone. That meant someone from Wolf Echo lived. Maren stood before a rusted, vine-choked utility door. It shouldn't be here. It didn't exist on maps, not even in her memory. But the Echo Null log pointed here. Drexler waited behind, silent. Her fingers brushed the keypad. The metal so old it should be corroded, but it clicked. Recognized her. A cold blue light blinked once. Door unlocked. Inside was a shaft. Steel, stale, buried so deep the air had weight. Her whisper broke the silence. This place was sealed in 2010. How is it still powered? Drexler stared at her. Same way you are. You were never really off. As they descended, motion lights flickered. Corridor after corridor, perfectly preserved, stocked, ready. Each room carried one phrase etched into the bulkhead. Echo Null, no return, no record, no grave. Then they found it. A sealed control room, still active. Inside, an ops table, redacted files projected midair. Maren approached. A name flickered alive. Operator, Elias Rain. Status Ghost confirmed presence. Mission, Reclamation Run, Wolf Echo Debris Field. She whispered, Elias. He was with us. He didn't make it. Drexler looked at her. Apparently he did. Flashback 2012. Red Zone, Mission 14. Rain, ash, blood. Wolf Echo surrounded. Maren dragging a wounded Elias into a concrete drainage culvert. Bleed here, not in the open, she told him. He smiled despite the broken ribs. Boss, if I don't make it, delete my file. Don't let them turn me into a story. She'd nodded. But that wasn't what happened. Now, in the Echo Null bunker, she saw his biometric logged. Last access 22 days ago. Drexler exhaled sharply. He's alive, and he's running ops. But why hasn't he contacted me? She said, voice low. The terminal responded. Command access. Widow Mark. Initiate Trail Recovery Protocol, Operation Gorgon Gate. She didn't blink. Run it. The system displayed mission markers. Not in present tense. They were repeating Wolf Echo missions. Same terrain, same entry vectors, but altered outcomes. Lower morality. High collateral. These are imitations, Drexler muttered. Same blueprints. Different ethics. Maren pointed at one red dot blinking alone. This one's live. Parted Diplomatic Convoy, Lithuania. Same setup as Op 7. But there was no convoy in real life, right? Drexler asked. Maren didn't answer. She was already packing her gear. Grab your boots. Why? Because someone's feeding ghosts to the living. And we're the only ones who know what's real. The air was cold, too cold for May. Maren took the ridge from the side, moving silent and low. At the top, a figure in dark gray. Not a full ghillie suit, custom hybrid rig, Widow Mark era code gear. He was older, scarred, but it was him. Elias. She didn't aim her weapon. Just whispered, You left me behind. The man didn't turn. I buried my identity so no one else had to. You're running missions in our name. Civilians are dying. He finally looked over his shoulder. No, Maren. I'm stopping someone who's using our name. A sudden crack in the air, sniper fire, not from Elias. Another team. Watching both of them. Down! Elias yelled, rolling and returning suppressive fire. Maren dived behind a boulder, eyes scanning. 2 more snipers. Flank positions. Drexler's voice crackled over comms. We've got a third element. They're not Echo. Elias clipped a smoke grenade. Extraction plan? Maren took aim. 1 shot, 1 kill. I was hoping you had one. He chuckled. Always the optimist. They fell back. Through mossy ravines and rusted fences, old Cold War roads only Wolf Echo would know. Elias led them to a submerged shelter, half collapsed but dry. Drexler arrived moments later, bleeding from a graze. They sat in silence. Then Elias spoke. I've been watching. The missions aren't mine. They're mimic jobs, set to dirty the Widowmaker legend. He looked at Maren. They want you back out here. Not to help. To make you a weapon again. Maren said nothing. Her eyes had already known. Unmarked Satellite Control Center, Geneva. Inside a tower that bore no nation's emblem, a man in a suit reviewed grainy drone footage of Maren and Elias, escaping through the forest. His name Voss, ex-Intel, off-book contractor. He tapped the screen. 2 assets converged. Widow Mark and Echo Ghost. Reaction time, 3.4 seconds. That's still too fast. His assistant asked, Do we proceed with the asset leak? Voss replied, Leak her location. Not hers, his. Won't that bring both of them? He smirked. That's the point. Let them fight their own myth. Back in the shelter, Elias handed Maren a black strip of cloth. The old Wolf Echo insignia, charred at the edges. I've held on to it. For when this war started again. Maren folded it in her hands. We're not soldiers anymore? He looked up. No, we're reminders. Off-grid relay station, check border. 3 hours after extraction. Drexler decrypted the signal they intercepted mid-firefight. Buried in it, a trace file. Operation Suture Thread. Elias leaned over his shoulder. That's not us. Not any branch I know. Maren stared at the name. Suture Thread was a theoretical kill switch protocol, designed to erase rogue ops. She stood, cold settling into her tone. Someone's triggering black projects that were never supposed to exist. Drexler frowned. If they're using Suture Thread, they're not trying to frame you. They're trying to wipe you. Maren opened her bag. Inside, the bullet, still unfired. I don't need revenge, she said quietly. I need memory. Undisclosed Operations Center, Siberia. A dozen operators stood in a circle. Black uniforms. No insignia. A hologram displayed Maren's biometric trail. A handler spoke. 2 ex-ghosts have merged. Widow Mark and Echo Ghost. We won't get another chance. The men didn't speak. They didn't salute. They loaded gear, silent, efficient, permanent. These weren't soldiers. These were erasers. Elias revealed the second layer of intel he had stolen. There's another op in play, Balkan Peninsula. A NATO-linked site is being used to train mimic squads. They're replicating our patterns. Maren narrowed her eyes. They want me to intervene. They want footage. Proof I'm rogue. Drexler leaned in. So what do we do? Maren responded instantly. We let them think I took the bait. Abandoned NATO site, Montenegro. A mimic squad trained in darkness. Each wore gear modeled after Wolf Echo. Except these weren't soldiers. They were actors in war that paid to simulate, not survive. Then came the breach. But not from Widow Mark. It was the real Echo Ghost, Elias. He stormed the perimeter alone, non-lethal, disabling, sabotaging cameras. His message was clear. If you wear our name, learn our cost. Outside, Widow Mark intercepted the incoming eraser team. 4 assassins. No markings. Their strategy. Confusion, overkill, erasure. She didn't give them the chance. One eraser flanked wide, cloaking through brush. Maren moved like smoke. No sound, no light. She drew close. No shot, no sound. Just a silent takedown. Another moved high. Drone linked. She used its own beacon flash to blind it. 1 knife, 1 drop. 2 remained. She let them see her. Let them think they were winning. Then vanished. 1 breath. 1 shot. All 4 down. No glory, just silence. While Maren and Elias struck, Drexler intercepted a meeting in Belgrade. Using forged ID and dead-op credentials, he entered a UN proxy cafe. Inside, 2 agents discussing Widow Mark's location like it was trivia. He recorded everything. When he left, he dropped a note. She's not coming for redemption. She's coming for truth. Remote cabin, Black Mountains, Montenegro. Safe at last, Elias opened his SAT case. Inside, a handwritten journal, Wolf Echo's unofficial mission log. He turned to the last page. 17 names. 6 crossed out. 5 marked MIA. He wrote 2 more. Operation Null Echo, Maren Weiss, confirmed. Operation Reverb Cross, Drexler, attached. He passed the pen. Maren, it's your turn. She hesitated, then wrote, Elias Reen, not dead. Then below it, me not gone.
Just tired.
Back at Forward Base Echo, General Hollis reviewed the silent flag logs. Maren had taken down a trained erasure team with no traceable firepower, no civilian casualties, no digital evidence. Hollis turned to his aide. Anyone still think she's rogue? The aide asked, so what do we do? Nothing. He looked out the window. She's not hunting us. She's shielding us from whatever's coming. Satellite uplink Zurich. A leak was planned. Someone tried to upload altered footage of Maren attacking a convoy, but the data packet corrupted mid-transmission. Overwritten by a silent algorithm that bore one signature, Ghost Protocol Override Weiss. Maren had left a failsafe in the backbone of the net. Even in her absence, the truth would remain protected. Late that night, Elias handed her a packet. Inside, a burned photo of a young girl, 12 years old. The daughter we thought we failed. From Op 14, she's alive. Maren's breath caught. She was the reason I ran into that zone alone. Elias nodded. She found me last year. Used our old code, said she had unfinished instructions. From me? He nodded. She wants to meet you. Back in the shelter, Drexler read a line from a decrypted archive. Protocol Widow Requiem. In the event Operator Weiss is ever found, do not bring her back. Follow her. He looked at her. What do we do now? Maren stood, checked her weapon, her voice soft. We follow the last echo. The trio left before dawn. One direction, one lead, no backup. Maren tied the old Wolf Echo insignia to her bag. Not as a banner, but as a burial cloth, one she intended to use, if needed, underground registry bunker, Lisbon, Portugal, 01.12 hours. The elevator had no buttons, no interface, only a keyhole. Elias inserted a blackened metal key, the one given to commanding officers of non-existent units. The doors opened with a hiss. Inside, silence. No staff, no guards. Just a single room with hundreds of metal plates, each etched with a name, each unacknowledged by any military on record. Maren ran her fingers along them. She stopped. Weiss M. Ren E. Wolf Echo, status nullified. She spoke quietly. Where's hers? Drexler checked the digital panel. There was one more entry. Asset, K Delta Echo, civilian priority, code 12K.
Status, alive.
Handler, Widow Mark. Amalfi Coast, Italy, protected safe village. Sunlight. Warmth. The illusion of peace. Maren watched her from afar. The girl, Lena, now 24, not a child anymore, working at a dock cafe, talking with locals, laughing. Drexler noted, she thinks you died saving her. Elias said nothing. Maren replied, that was the point. Drexler frowned. Then why meet her now? Maren looked up, eyes unreadable. Because they found her. 3 men entered. Not tourists, no smiles, no eye contact. Standard recon team posture. Maren watched them. Drexler marked their car outside. Unregistered SUV with military-run flat tires. Elias moved upstairs. Then Lena served them coffee. Her hands didn't shake. She recognized them. She knew. She'd been trained. Later on the pier, Maren approached Lena, face-to-face for the first time in 12 years. You shouldn't be here, Lena said softly. I never really left, Maren replied. Lena's voice was sharp but steady. You were supposed to be dead. I was. A pause. Why now? Maren glanced behind her. Because they're not after me anymore. They're after the people I saved. The cafe exploded at 2:42 a.m. Maren, Lena, Elias, and Drexler had moved 10 minutes earlier. They watched from the cliffs as the building burned. Lena said nothing. Maren handed her a pack. Inside, black gloves, a patch with an old wolf insignia. Lena stared. You kept it? Maren nodded. I don't forget the things that mattered. Maren began training Lena. Not basic. Instinctive survival. No commands, no drills. Just movement. Blind targeting. Shadow trailing. Inversion evasion. Lena adapted fast. Too fast. Elias watched and said, "She's one of us." Maren whispered, "She shouldn't be." While resting, Drexler unearthed a black box half buried in the gravel. It blinked. Tracer beacon, Gen 1 Widow tag. Owner W mark, location active. They'd been followed. Someone had known she would return to Lena. But not for retaliation, for confirmation. They weren't trying to kill Maren. They were trying to activate Lena. 2 hours north in Florence, a cleanup crew arrived at a false safe house. Inside, 12 bodies. Clean kills. A racer squad killed by one person. Cameras were cut 10 minutes before the strike. One officer held up a slug casing, engraved on it, "Save one person, that's enough." He dropped it. Widow Mark still rewriting the rules. Back at the quarry, Elias unrolled a map made of composite fiber. Only usable under UV light. It showed roads beneath roads. Ghost highways. Extraction corridors. Maren's finger landed on one. "Here, Arkhangelsk." Drexler scanned his tablet. "That base is abandoned." "No," Elias said. "That base is quiet." "There's a difference." Maren looked at Lena. "If they're drawing us in, it's because they think we'll break before we reach it." Lena met her gaze. "Then we'll prove them wrong." They arrived in darkness. Electricity dead, heat gone. Only memories lived here. The room still had their names on bunks. Wolf Echo. Faded notes on walls. Unused lockers. In one, Maren found her original badge. Operator 0, Widow Mark. She held it. Didn't speak. Just closed her fist around it. Drexler activated the central terminal. Data flickered. Then impossible. "Welcome, Operator Weiss. Awaiting command authorization. Protocol name, Ash Ghost." Maren's voice barely audible. "Ash Ghost was our last resort. If the entire world went dark." Elias nodded. "It means they think the war is coming here." Camera logs from the base showed something else. Another figure had been here 16 hours earlier, wearing similar gear, moving like them. Fast, efficient. But not Elias. Not Maren. Not Lena. Someone else from Wolf Echo? Or someone trained to look like them? No ID. Just one marking. Xeco. Inside the secure server room, Drexler found one file untouched. Encrypted 10 levels deep. He cracked it. And froze. Program New Widows. Project Echo Synthesis. Objective Train Legacy Shadows. Current prototype K Delta Echo. Assigned handler Widow Mark. Asset status trajectory set final mission preloaded. He looked up. K Delta Echo wasn't just Lena's code. It was her directive. Drexler brought the file to Maren. She read it. Said nothing. Lena entered, saw their faces. "What?" Maren looked at her. "They didn't want you saved, Lena. They wanted you tested." Lena's voice cracked. "By you?" Maren nodded. "They made you my replacement before I even died." The room held its breath. Lena, once a memory of salvation, now stood at the center of a buried truth. Maren didn't raise her voice. "I wasn't supposed to live past 2012. You were never supposed to see me again." Lena didn't cry. She stood straighter. "So why save me then?" "Because I believed you were worth more than the program. And I still do." Drexler added quietly, "You don't have to follow their design." But Elias, always blunt, said what no one wanted to. "She already is." A scrambled comm came through Drexler's uplink. One name, X Echo. Then a video stream. It showed a field base, a child, bomb collar, and a synthetic voice.
The widow fails when she chooses feelings over fate.
"Finish your replacement, or we'll test her." Then silence. Lena stepped forward. "Where is it?" Maren tried to stop her. But Elias nodded to her instead. If she wasn't meant to make choices, she wouldn't be making this one. Remote Siberian Ridge, snow line, 47 Bavendegrinyan, a brutalist facility half buried in snow. Guards trained like ghost units. Not state, not rebel. Private, ghost-trained, widow-based. Maren, Elias, Drexler, and Lena launched a three-pronged assault. No frontal chaos. Only surgical entries. Maren took the east wall. Elias the generator flank. Drexler routed comms. Lena scaled the tower, Malone. They met inside, 15 minutes flat. Silence restored. In the heart of the base, they found it. Widow Protocol Room, Echo Trial 04, dozens of monitors. Clips of Maren, simulations of Wolf Echo tactics, dozens of girls Lena's age, training in archived loops. All clones? No, recruits. Orphans, survivors. All told, be like her. Maren whispered. They didn't preserve my legacy. They manufactured it. In a sealed control booth, a figure turned. The original handler Voss. Still alive. Wearing medals no one should own. I told them you'd come back. Heroes always do. Elias raised his weapon. But Voss didn't flinch. I don't want your life. I want your method. He gestured to Lena. She's the first to reject programming. The only one to return to you instead of becoming you. He smiled. That's what scares us. Maren stepped forward. No, that's what saves us. She shot the console behind him. Data erased. Not him, the system. An automated lockdown triggered. Drexler yelled, They're self-wiping. This base is going under. They ran, but Lena stopped. One room remained locked. Inside 6 girls. Not soldiers. Kids, she broke the seal. They were the next batch. Maren shouted, We have no time. But Elias and Drexler were already helping. Maren turned back, her voice low. Then we finish what Wolf Echo started. They exfiltrated through a collapsing glacier tunnel. Ice cracked. Walls fell. Drexler carried 2 girls. Lena led the others, whispering orders in Widowmark's tone. They made it out, seconds before the mountain folded in on itself. Days passed. They found refuge in a shipping hub off the coast of Talon. The girls, safe, silent, watching. Maren tended to them one by one, teaching them how to breathe before how to shoot. Lena watched her. She saved me. Now Maren looked at her. No, you saved them. That's what makes you the first real widow. In an encrypted Dropbox, Drexler sent a final file to General Hollis. Contents. Voss's identity. The Widow Synthesis Project. Proof of unauthorized experimentation. He included only one line of commentary. Legacy is not programmable. It must be earned. Back at a coastal hilltop, Elias, Maren, and Lena stood over a fire pit. Each dropped in one item. Elias, his final mission log. Maren, her original call sign chip. Lena, the gloves Maren gave her. They burned, but not in erasure. In choice, an automated lockdown triggered. Drexler yelled, They're self-wiping. This base is going under. They ran, but Lena stopped. One room remained locked. Inside 6 girls. Not soldiers. Kids, she broke the seal. They were the next batch. Maren shouted, We have no time. But Elias and Drexler were already helping. Maren turned back, her voice low. Then we finish what Wolf Echo started. They exfiltrated through a collapsing glacier tunnel. Ice cracked. Walls fell. Drexler carried 2 girls. Lena led the others, whispering orders in Widowmark's tone. They made it out, seconds before the mountain folded in on itself. Days passed. They found refuge in a shipping hub off the coast of Talon. The girls, safe, silent, watching. Maren tended to them one by one, teaching them how to breathe before how to shoot. Lena watched her. She saved me. Now Maren looked at her. No, you saved them. That's what makes you the first real widow. In an encrypted Dropbox, Drexler sent a final file to General Hollis. Contents. Voss's identity. The Widow Synthesis Project. Proof of unauthorized experimentation. He included only one line of commentary. Legacy is not programmable. It must be earned. Back at a coastal hilltop, Elias, Maren, and Lena stood over a fire pit. Each dropped in one item. Elias, his final mission log. Maren, her original call sign chip. Lena, the gloves Maren gave her. They burned, but not in erasure. In choice, somewhere beneath a defunct NATO base, a lone intelligence analyst stared at a screen. A new keyword just lit up in red. Widowmark, confirmed pulse, code, closure echo. She looked at the supervisor. Ma'am, this one's not on any list. The protocol activated itself. Her voice barely held. I think she just closed herself off from all systems. Across the secure servers, the signal faded. Widowmark had ghosted herself. Completely. Drexler sat across from Elias, shifting nervously. I lied, he said. About the data I gave Hollis. Elias didn't blink. What did you keep? Drexler reached into his coat, pulled out a drive. I found Directive 9 hidden under Widow synthesis. Elias took it. Cold metal. Still warm with weight. It's not a plan, Drexler said. It's a list. Of all civilians Widow Mark saved. Every single one. Elias turned it over slowly. And now they're all targets. Unknown. A hidden subroutine buried in the Directive 9 code began running. Pulse check. Asset ping. Names. Names that were buried in ghost files for over a decade. Each ping lit up a new location. A nurse in Warsaw. A driver in Cairo. A rescued agent now farming in Argentina. A child who once carried a message in Baghdad. Each name now blinked. At risk. Shadow recursion triggered. Satellite relay. Algeria. Improvised comm post. Lena patched into an emergency. Broadcast line used only once before. Widow override channel. The system resisted. Then a mechanical voice answered. Widow Mark override no longer available. She paused. Typed. Lena K Delta Echo operator linked. Clearance level 9 requesting status. The reply came fast. Status Widow Mark offline. Directive legacy detachment active. You are the contingency now. She stared at the screen. No, not yet. Coastal Ruins, Morocco 0520 local. Elias, Drexler, and Lena reached a forgotten ruin buried beneath dunes. Inside, a dead drop waited. A wax-sealed envelope. A burner phone. A memory chip. Lena opened the envelope. A single note in Maren's handwriting. There's one left. The one we all missed. Codename Sabbath. He made the system. I let him live. That was my final failure. Drexler whispered, she's going after the architect. Elias nodded, alone. Maren had activated her last mission alone. No allies, no trackers, no transmission. Her trail ended in the ruins of an old city, somewhere between Syria and Jordan. Sabbath, the architect of the Widow trials, was there. She had spared him once in exchange for erasing the program, but instead he went deeper. He had built a new network, Shadow Resurgence. It trained operators using her own methods against those she had once saved, and now it was operational. Fortress in the dust, edge of dead sector grid. Inside the compound, Sabbath monitored footage. Maren had breached the first perimeter. He smiled. You always come back, Widow. To his aide, he said, don't kill her. Let her see the children in the next chamber. Let her know what she started. They opened the security door. But Maren wasn't there, only a trail of fallen guards. One camera flickered. She was already inside the command room. Maren faced Sabbath. He stood, unarmed, defiant. You think you're a hero because you walked away? I walked away, Maren replied, so they could live. You trained killers. I saved survivors. He smiled. And now they'll kill for you. She drew her weapon, but didn't shoot. Instead, she pulled out the bullet. Save one person, that's enough. She placed it on the table, then walked away. Behind her, Sabbath tried to activate an override drone. Too late. The bullet triggered a signal scrambler in the room. It detonated the codebase. The base servers imploded. But not the structure. Just the mind that built it. Lena read the last message Maren ever sent. I never told anyone this. But I stopped counting kills after 38. I only counted lives. That number never stopped mattering. Tell them the silence wasn't absence. It was protection. Drexler delivered the chip to an independent tribunal. Footage from Wolf Echo's final mission. Unedited, undistorted. One frame showed Maren standing between a child and incoming fire. She wasn't shooting. She was shielding. The tribunal sealed the file with a new title. Legacy, the ghost who saved the living. Coastal shelter unknown. Lena sat alone by a window. Outside, the sea whispered. Inside, she turned to the final page of Maren's old journal. It had no writing, just a photo. Maren and her original team, Wolf Echo, smiling before their first mission. The back read, never let the mission make you forget why you started it. Lena closed the book, then reached for her own, a blank field notebook, and wrote, Widow Mark was never in order. It was a promise. Drexler returned to a secure UN server node. He uploaded the final Widow report. Not for court, not for war, just for history. Inside, the true origin of Widow Protocol, evidence of synthetic mimic programs, names of 73 civilians saved by Maren. The operations she stopped that no one ever knew happened. At the end of the file, he wrote one line. She didn't erase the past. She outlived it. A dry range near the Western Training Center sat quiet. A small plaque was embedded in the soil, barely noticeable. No fanfare, no flags, just words etched in steel. Widow mark. If you meet someone silent, don't laugh. They might have screamed loudest when it mattered most. New recruits trained nearby, but every once in a while they paused, as if something unseen was watching. Private Rodriguez, once a laughing rookie, now wore a rescue unit insignia. He returned to the range years later, laid a single flower at the plaque, then whispered, "I never told you, but you changed everything." He stepped back, saluted. Not for Maren, for the silence she had taught them to respect. Lena walked through a shadow training camp hidden in Eastern Europe. No uniforms. No oaths. Just volunteers. She didn't train them like soldiers. She trained them like survivors. Her last lesson to them: don't become ghosts. Become shadows that protect without being seen. On her vest, a stitched patch. Not widow mark, just echo shield. A new name, a new promise. Late one night, Elias received a signal on an ancient transceiver. Only one voice. It was Maren's, pre-recorded. Never sent, until now. If you hear this, it means I left the story before I could finish it. That's fine. I was never meant to be the ending, just the start of something better. I never needed medals. Just one person saved. That was enough. Elias sat in silence for hours after. Years later, retired General Hollis was interviewed off the record. They asked about Widow Mark. He smiled. You want proof she existed? He pointed to a map. You see that region? That city still stands, because she walked in when no one else would. She didn't want records. She wanted peace. In a quiet city, a young diplomat crossed the street, her route interrupted by a sudden collision. She would have been hit, but someone pulled her back. A woman with long black hair and a gray windbreaker. The woman nodded, then disappeared into the crowd. No badge, no thanks. No trace. Just an imprint of a calloused hand on the diplomat's coat. Days later, the diplomat would speak at the UN, and her speech would begin with, "I believe we are protected, not by gods, but by those who never stop watching." Somewhere remote, on a wall in a training cave, a quote was carved. Widow Mark wasn't the ghost. She was the light you never saw, because she kept the darkness behind her. No one admitted to carving it, but every trainee read it. And every trainee trained harder afterward. Years passed. Conflicts faded. But one system deep in the backbone of satellite comms still pulsed silently, a dormant node, dead code. Until one night, a flicker, a biometric echo. No one knew what triggered it. But somewhere a red screen glowed again. Call sign Widow Mark, signal detected. Status, legacy override active. Location, redacted. No follow-up. No orders issued. Just a presence acknowledged.